Good morning, and thank you again for joining us. We're in this webinar this morning where we'll talk about the Unity and different initiatives and projects that can be run as part of the Unity Academic Alliance program and partnership. I'm Thomas Carlson, and I work at Knowledge Point, and I'm also being joined by my colleague Liz Litter, who many of you may already know. We are a Unity partner, so a reseller, so we support academic institutions with access to Unity and their different resources. We're very happy to welcome some special guests today, special speakers from Turku University of Applied Sciences in Finland. And we have Mika and David who are going to introduce themselves a bit later on, and we're really happy to have them here. They are heading up a team at Turku University of Applied Sciences that has decided to join the Unity Academic Alliance, and they have been working with Unity in a broader context, especially with an emphasis on the metaverse technology for quite some time already. And that's the main reason that they are here today, is to share some of those really exciting projects that their team is working on. We're going to hear about the metaverse because that's obviously very much a big topic these days. And I think what I particularly like with the presentation today is that it's going to be focused on practical implementation, how this technology can really help also outside of the academic space, also in the business world, how this can really help certain processes, particularly in terms of virtual safety training, etc. So we'll hear some really good examples. And the idea with the webinar today is to really learn from the experts, and we're hoping that this will also start a conversation where you can interact with our colleagues from Turku University of Applied Sciences and continue sharing and building best practice. So that's our main agenda. In terms of just two practical points before we kick off, you may already have noticed that we have muted the phone lines. We are recording this webinar. If you think of any comments or questions, there's a chat function in Zoom where you can type in a question, and we will do our best to address those as we go along. And we will also plan time towards the end of the meeting to have a Q&A session. And at that point, we can also open the phone line so that you can talk to us if you prefer. And the other thing is to mention that we are recording the session for those who couldn't join. So you are aware of that, and we will also share the recording back with all of you. But with that said, thanks again for joining us, and I'm delighted to be able to welcome Mika and David from Turku University of Applied Sciences, and I'll let you guys take over the stage.
Thank you so much. Okay, let me first share my screen, and then I think it's David's turn. So welcome to this webinar once more. My name is Mika Luimula from Turku University of Applied Sciences, and also my colleague David Oliva is present here. So we have structured our presentation so that we will focus on two different issues: about metaverse, and then about from where we have started our metaverse development, which is actually fire safety in virtual reality. So I will first somehow introduce you to the topic, and when we are talking about metaverse, we have to first ask from us that is this hype or is this a momentum to act? And based on our understanding, focus at the moment in metaverse development, it's pretty much for consumer markets. So Epic Games, they have this Fortnite game, and they have organized rack concerts there where millions of people are able to participate. So it's evident that it's fully for the entertaining and consumer markets. Meta, let's say Facebook, changed even their name to Meta, and some part of the investors, owners, they have been a bit disappointed about this new strategy, and also Microsoft, they have shown that they are focusing on entertaining side in metaverse development because they bought Activision Blizzard and so on. About us, we want to bring metaverse quickly to B2B markets, and we don't want to wait 5 to 10 years like, for example, Meta seems to wait. At least what they have said, they are going to recruit 10 to 15,000 AR/VR specialists in Europe, for example, to focus on metaverse development, and they are estimating that it will take 5 to 10 years. So here you can see about our metaverse. We launched this technology at the end of last year, and we were in Finnish television around 1 month ago, and that was a story about how in local shipyard metaverse technology is used in forklift driving in the near future. Already, let's say, single player mode is in use, and soon also this metaverse version will be there. Before I will let David to start, a few words about why we are so excited about metaverse. If you look at this Gartner hype cycle, 15 years ago, smartphones they were used already daily basis. Everyone was having own one, and telepresence and augmented reality, they were in the closest of the origin in this curve, and it means that there is a lot of risks, but also a lot of hopes, and after 15 years we can see that both VR and AR are doing good in business, and the expectations are for the upcoming years really high compared to, for example, mobile game markets. If we now look at what was Gartner's hype cycle last year, so exactly in the same position we have multi-experience, digital humans, and also NFT, and all these are very, let's say, core terms in metaverse development, and you can see that also at the on the bottom of this slide. You can see which type of estimations, forecasts do we have now for metaverse economy, for metaverse business. Then shortly about us. So I'm a research group leader for futuristic interactive technologies, and also principal lecturer in game and interactive technologies in our university. In addition, I'm holding adjunct professorship in the academic university in University of Turku, and I'm also acting as senior advisor for a couple of Finnish XR startups companies focusing on these interesting technologies, etc. About my research group, so we have won various awards, and if you look at these titles, maybe later you can even zoom this presentation in, and you can see that almost in every title it's about virtual training in safety, and that's why I thought to give now floor to my colleague David to explain more about one of these projects. Before I will let him to start, a few other aspects from our research group. So we have completed €500,000 investment program just last year, and we have more than 50 VR or AR headsets in our lab, and other cool stuff like supercomputers, laser scanners, etc. And we are, for example, collaborating intensively with a Finnish company called Varjo. They have the most sophisticated VR headsets, XR headsets at the moment in the market. Let's say including bionic display and eye tracking sensors, etc., etc. We have also launched the so-called virtual training center concept, where people can be trained alone or in the group in a single player or multiplayer context. And soon I'm going to tell you more about metaverse. Then it's about multiplayer context. But before that, now it's time to give the floor for David, and you can explain about Virpa, why we have been so successful. We have actually got 3 times money from the same funding agent, and that's partly about these hazardous issues, what can be found out when using these interactive technologies. Please go ahead, David.
Thank you, Mika, and welcome everybody. So my name is David Oliva. I'm a senior specialist in the same, working in the same group of, or the group that Mika leads, futuristic interactive technologies. And during the last 2-3 years, I've been running projects where Unity has been used to create research tools. And since today there is this event organized by Unity Academy, I think it will be a very good way to, or it will be good to tell how we have used Unity within our team and what type of research it has enabled. So if all goes well, I will be sharing my screen now. And then I will start to present this thing. I suppose everybody can see the screen, and I will just continue talking. Good. So we had the 3 projects actually: VIRPA 1, VIRPA 2, and VIRPA 3, funded by Palo Suojelun Rahasto, is Finnish fund for fire safety. And let's see what those projects are about. So VIRPA comes from the acronym of Virtuaalitodellisuus, Paloturvallisuus, Viestinnän välineenä, which translated to English, it is virtual reality for fire safety communication. In VIRPA 1, what we wanted to do, it was to create a virtual reality simulator, but not to teach how to behave in case of a fire, but to analyze how people will behave in the case fire alarm started to suddenly ring. That project provided us data. For instance, kids didn't know how to exit the building in an effective way. And that's what gave us the chance to ask again the funding instrument. Okay, let's try to do an educative mobile game to teach fire safety to those kids. Let's go to see a little video now about how we did VIRPA 1. I don't know if the audio is on, but I will put it off. And this is a video that we just make a little bit for fun to show how the development process was happening. Let's move. So this is some footage from our game lab. We have a modernized, it's now looking much different, but basically the terms of working are similar. So we try that the students come in there to perform there or to collaborate with us in the projects we are running. So we are very proud that the good quality of our project has been achieved with a lot of the effort of the students. Well, you can see in there how, for instance, they are using Substain Painter and Blender to change the outlook of the different surfaces that we will have in that building that we will show soon. Now we can see how Sami was starting to work about smoke propagation. It was very important for us that smoke will propagate in the building as in real life will happen. You can see already how Unity, how we were working in Unity, what it's the outlook of that office building that we were using for research. This is very early footage. The final version, it's a little bit different, or at least better. For instance, you will see soon how the smoke propagates, and we improve it very much on the last weeks of the project before we started with the research. So in here you have an option. We use fluid dynamic simulator to see how the smoke will propagate in the building, and then we were able to transfer all that data into the Unity project. So we did the calculations with different software, and then we were able to put it in Unity, and the result was good. Sure, we invited fire departments and so on to test the game before we were starting the research, and well, it was a very successful project. I think we have seen enough from here. And let's continue with the PowerPoint. So yeah, as I told, we invite our students to work with us. Those pictures are from the development phase or the design phase, where we say, okay, we want to do that. How would you do No, and then we have those weekly meetings where students also had to present what they were working on. And so if somebody was a graphical designer, in any case, he will learn something about the implementation or like programming. Again, an outlook of the VR environment. And here is the game. So we decided to create this office building and ask people, hey, can you test this simulator? It's about a work interview. So you arrive to the building and there is this lady, Ines, that tells you, okay, follow me to the interview location, which is in the 3rd floor of the building. So you learn bit by bit how to use the controllers and you move in the building. And then you start to do a test, which is related to that work interview, because so far that's what we are telling that the work is about. And then the fire alarm starts to ring. And from that moment, we start to track everything what the player is doing, like which path they go. Do they keep eye contact with those fire exit signs or any other, for instance, the floor map? What do they do when they encounter for the first time the smoke? Do they go through or do they try to find another path and so on? And the game ends up when you die or when you exit the building. We have seen a little bit about the smoke flow simulation, so let's move. And so then we went to the research part. We went to 4 different type of places, like schools, then our university, then we went to some office building, and we went to a few fire departments. So we had 4 target groups that were playing the game, and only the firemen knew what the project was about. All those ones didn't know that there was going to be a fire alarm, and that was, I think, very good. So we were able to gather a lot of data. I'm not going now into all those metrics that we were gathering, but as I said, as soon as the fire alarm started to ring, we check what the player was doing. But what we see is that children didn't look at the escape signs or the floor plans enough in comparison with the other type of players. And that's basically what it allowed us to start with BIRPA 2. And now I start to talk with BIRPA 2. So if you want to know more about this project, the best is that you visit this website, birpagame.fi. And the outcome of the game, it's a free-to-play mobile game for kids, translated to English and Swedish, in addition to Finnish. And it's an educational game that teaches fire safety. We know that kids have a lot of games on the mobile phones, so we try to make as good game as possible so that it will be interesting for them. And now I will play the trailer. I hope it doesn't lag too much, but you can see it in the website. So the game takes the player to a 3-floor school building, and some doors are closed. And this was done in order to enable this machine vision technology. So the idea is that the kids will learn what those signs are and where are they located. And so in the game, to open some rooms, you have to go to the real building and find those signs, take a picture of them. The algorithm identify what sign it is, and then the door gets open. And you had to do that plenty of times. So we also try to combine the real world and virtual world in that way. So the kids realize that this is a game that talks about my real buildings. Then there were a lot of questions, so you get the stars, and then many other things that you had to do in the building. For instance, finding those hazards. There were those blackboards, chalkboards, where you have to answer also questions. You will need to learn how to use an extinguisher, and then using it in an augmented reality game. So some flames will appear in your living room or wherever you are, and you see it. There was this skateboard mini game. It tries to teach that when you exit the building, you need to follow those signs, and that there is no time to try to grab points and stuff. So we did a small version of the famous Pac-Man. So in this game, we try to teach that when there is a fire, you need to rescue your friends. You need to evacuate and also use the fire extinguishers if needed. So everything what there was in the game tried to teach fire safety. Another example of a hazard that you need to find, one fire extinguisher is in the floor. There were many newspapers, 6 newspapers that always relate to schools and fires, and then for sure, a lot of clothing elements to find and to earn through the tests. And the game has many other things that they are not in this trailer. There is a fire drill exercise and so on. We have created some additional materials. We have written some scientific papers. Hopefully we'll write more in the future. There is the final report with all what we obtain, and it's in Finnish, unfortunately. But yeah, in this website you can find very much what the game is about. Here is, for instance, this fire drill example. So basically, you arrive to a secret room, and then the non-playable character tells you, okay, now you need to exit the building. And in here, the player gets the biggest amount of points when don't run, but don't stop to exit the building, and then follow the exit signs. So pretty fun. There was also a fire drill to do in darkness and so on. Okay, let's move on. So we had a very nice team. Again, a lot of students. They joined first normally as a practice work, so they earn credits when they are good. I like that then we are able to pay them a salary, so they become student assistants, and then they get more involved in the project, and it's working. That approach, I think it's working very good. Then in here, there is a capture of how we run the project. So we were many. We have every week weekly meetings. Remember, we were in Corona times, so everybody was working from home, and that's why it was very important to centralize our development into a common tool, and for that we use Trello. And here you can see, for instance, all the phases. So every column represents a new version of the game, and it includes everything what it was fixed. So normally we say, okay, we have this thing to fix, and we assign who is going to be the person working on it, and then when that person is ready, then shifts it to the next place. Okay, the game, again, it looks one thing of the game also that the player is able to obtain a diploma at the end of the game if it has answered the questions. There is a final exam room. Okay, let's go to the research, which I think is very interesting. So we were interested in many things in this project, and for sure to know how much players like the game, not only the number of downloads, but how much they like it, how much they play, and so on. What type of actions do they like in the game? I'm sure this is a concept that we can now extrapolate to traffic safety. So we were very interested in knowing what parts of the game are working better. And then definitely what's the effectiveness? How much do they learn? Is the added value of the game enough to substitute the current methods in schools? So let's go to see now some of those answers. And first, we see the player retention. So this plot shows you what's the percent of players that come to play the game after the first day. So the first data point, it is the second day. And then we have done this for how many? 6 months. So we see that about 60% of the players give the game another chance. And for instance, 1 month after, still 1/4 of the players are playing. And that means that the game does not stay as a one-time experience. The game, and hopefully the topic 2, was of interest. And all in all, what is very good is those numbers. They are very good for an educative mobile game. And we are very proud of that. We know like how hard it is for mobile games to open a market. And so despite that the number of downloads is still low, and we are working to improve it, but at least once they start to play, they keep playing. And that's okay. Then let's see more data. We are able to follow everything what the player does, because they are underage players and the GDPR regulation, we really respect their privacy. So they don't have a name, they only have a number. We know where they are approximately location, but only in a 200 meters grid. We wanted to let it like that in order. to follow GDPR and don't run into problems. But we can see how they play the game. And we see in here 2 different player profiles. This upper one has played for 4 days and has basically done everything what there is in the game, not just the final exam, but it's a player that likes to complete it. And then we have another one that has been just moving around the building. And in here, this provides us a lot of data. And for instance, when we give this type of information to the teachers, they will be able to see, okay, my student has learned this, or it has been a little bit lazy, so I should remind him to play also the other parts of the game. One thing we were also very interested in, it's like how much they like this scanning activity. It uses machine vision. We only store data of the sign. So when you take a picture, our algorithm only identifies, oh, there is that sign, and that's the data we save. So we don't save the pictures, and so to respect privacy for sure. And so we see here, like, so this graph shows only the players that have using that action, but then it tells you how many times they use it. So what we see is that as soon as the players realize that in the game there was this possibility, they become very interested into it, and most of them went into finding like as many signs as it was possible in the game, which was 9. Okay, something else about the effectiveness. So sure, we went to schools. We say, oh, we have some questions for you. Then they answer the questions. Then we tell them, and we have a surprise. We are going to play today a game. So then they play the game. And then after 2 weeks, we went back to the school and presented the same question. So we were able to measure somehow effectiveness. And here there are 2 examples. Have you noticed fire safety signs in your school? How many fire safety signs have you seen in your school? Before and after data, we see a very nice increment that once the game has been played, those signs are understood what they are. And we had many other questions that you can see in the final report if you feel like reading it. That's how it looks, the final report. And this is what I had to tell you. I hope you enjoy. And if you have any questions, you can go ahead. Otherwise, Mika will continue.
Thank you, David. Maybe we will continue this presentation, and then if there are any questions for me or David, we can do it at the end. So let's switch back to my presentation. So like I said in the very beginning, so now when we are talking about metaverse, also today, we are coming from single user applications, for example, fire safety applications in virtual reality, where you are alone, like for example in Bayer pharmacy factory. We have had forklift training things for safety issues in local shipyard, for example, this type of overhead crane simulators, or like in Wärtsilä Energy Academy, these ship engine maintenance solutions. So what we have learned from these single user applications, pedagogy is typically script inside, and compared to multi-user applications, this is very challenging, and it's not cost effective. Typically, when we are talking about single user safety applications, we have maybe playable content, maybe 5 to 10 minutes, maximum maybe 20 minutes or so on. When we are bringing other avatars, other players, even teacher inside in that application, it totally changed the business model, and because teacher can bring his knowledge inside, and easily we can generate hours of content thanks to him or her. So about the metaverse, so we are feeling that it's coming, but like I said in the very beginning, these big players, they are focusing on consumer markets, and who is going to take care of B2B. We try to do at least that. So here you can see our definition about metaverse. So For us, it means social communication like Microsoft Outspace VR, what we used, for example, 1 year ago when we opened our competence center. In the middle, you can see hands-on training. Virpa is a good example about hands-on training or assessment type of things. And we have those type of learning applications, dozens and dozens together with our industrial parties. And then finally, we want also to integrate real-life objects inside in this metaverse environment. So this is our definition for the metaverse. Why these 3 issues are needed? For example, we learned that during the full lockdown, companies had a lot of challenges to focus on promotions, to selling, like production lines or so on, because you are not able to be present in big exhibitions. So in virtual reality, in metaverse, you can do that. But another thing what is needed, if we are even in exhibitions, or if we are going to focus on let's say renewing competitors cards during lockdown, so we need to be able to act with our own hands. And then the third issue is that if we can integrate metaverse in the real life objects, then we can focus, for example, on remote control systems, autonomous systems, where someone who has the best knowledge can help assist people who are locally present. For example, that's very much in line with the United Nations sustainability goals, etc. So let me tell you a story about how our metaverse development started and where we are now. So everything started around 1 year ago when we organized this opening ceremony. We had a virtual exhibition hall and auditorium. We had in peak time over 80 people participating. There were some difficulties to have all those inside in one auditorium. They were not able to see everyone each other, but all in all, it was very interesting starting point, and we learned that this limited number of users has to be changed, and this usability issues for the registrations and signing in has to be tackled, and there was a problem with hands-on experiencing or training type of things and much more. Around the same time, our industrial parties, they have focused on competence cards, where you don't need anymore to follow traditional training methods. You can, for example, study or refine your forklift driving license using digital content. So online content made by Kiva Inspector and these virtual training scenarios, assessment tools made by ADE and so on. So that has been in the market already, let's say 1 or 2 years, and we have been part of that development work as well with our industrial parties. Those are all competence cards, single player mode issues, and that's why we have studied how
Hello to virtual fire safety.
Multiplayer issues can
here
be
we are
handled.
learning how to use an extinguisher in virtual reality. So let's start and let's take that extinguisher over there. So move to the extinguisher and pick it up. Perfect. Have you ever used an extinguisher before?
No, I haven't.
All right. So it's quite simple. So you just have to remove the pin from over here. Yes, like that. And now aim somewhere safe to try if it works. Perfect. So next we have to put out a fire. So stand in a clear distance. That should be fine. And pull the trigger to shoot the extinguisher.
Okay.
Hello to virtual fire safety.
So at the end of this video, you can see that teacher can go to the helicopter view and start coaching other other students or trainees. And okay, now if we go back to the technological issues, some details. So definitely we have mainly used Unity in every corner. Also our industry partners, they are using Unity, and we used in our first tests what you saw in that previous video, Photon Bolt, and we realized that there are some limitations. We can have maybe 6 to 8 simultaneous players in the same scenario. But we decided after that, okay, continue with Unity game engine, but we were creating own server solution for networking, utilizing Mirror open source software libraries, but we have created on top of that a lot of other fancy issues, starting from physics towards advanced virtual object manipulation, etc. And you can see that, okay, this is still under development. We have not yet any kind of textured avatars over there, but you can see that we can throw objects to another person, and without any kind of delays, we can handle these objects together. And this seems to be very promising technology, what our industry parties are very excited about, and we would like to also listen your thoughts and possibilities to collaborate, both from let's say research perspectives, but also towards business perspective with Unity Academic Alliance members. Here you can see the same video what was in Finnish television, what I showed in the very beginning in one of the first slides. So this is our virtual classroom concept. So now we are in the auditorium where teacher is this pedestrian. He or she can communicate over voice with the students. And first, the students have been listening theory in this classroom or lecture hall. There is also for the PowerPoints and for whiteboards tools available. And then there is also this training environment. And this is exactly the same type of track what for example local shipyard has in their training center in the real life conditions. And you can see that all these physics are already in a correct way running there, and teacher is able to observe what's going on and also instruct or even jump to the cabin and show the correct way to steer. You can see also that these students, they are over there communicating with each other. It seemed to be quite tight corner, and first student was asking that if the next one should give some extra space, but actually they were able to do that. So this is pretty much the concept, and at the moment we are also developing other type of scenarios inside over here. For example, for let's say collaborative work scenarios where crane drivers, truck drivers, forklift drivers would work closely together when they are loading ships or unloading and so on. And this is definitely what is at the moment urgently needed in industry and also in vocational schools. Over here, still a couple of words about future directions. We have already started this real life integration inside in our metaverse, and we can see that first use cases can be found from robotics side. We have already integrated some robots inside in our system, and we believe that in the near future we can create a system which allows, for example, engineering students to learn more about robots which are not physically in your lab, but maybe in another university lab. And this will also be equity issue, so that people from, for example, from developing countries could have a same possibility to learn robots or other type of expensive technology. And after that, they could have a better possibilities to find a job. So at the end, I want to show the last video. So this is about remote controlled vessels. We have projects in that area, and you can see that Unity has very nice tools to use, for example, LiDARs. Over here we have used, for example, Jet 2i cameras, and this could be, for example, in metaverse scenario where we have we have a disaster training where we have tens of people from different organizations participating same time in this type of scenario. I would share this presentation with those who are interested about via email or via our organization committee or so on, and you can have also these references. So this is pretty much what we wanted to tell you, and once more, we are so excited about this opportunity to be present here, and I hope that this could be a starting point for deep collaboration with Unity Academic Alliance members with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Mika and David, as well, for sharing these really cool projects on how you can work with the metaverse. We have planned to have some time for Q&A. I wanted to just very quickly jump in with a summary slide while you think of some questions, but I know that the guys here are happy to take any questions you may have on the projects you've seen. But while you think of any questions, then I just wanted to pick up to round off that you obviously seen projects that are related to Unity, and that's also why we are here today, most of us. There is this collaboration with Unity for academic institutions called the Academic Alliance member, and that's what Turku has joined as well. And I just wanted to very shortly highlight that in case this could be relevant also for the work that you do as attendees. And so what this is a partnership with Unity for post-secondary institutions. It's not required to already be teaching Unity as part of your courses, but it's of course a great benefit, because what it does is that it packages together some supporting tools and resources that can help add value to projects, but also to the day-to-day teaching of game design and other relevant courses, not at least the VR and AR technologies. One of those resources is Unity certification, which is normally available for people in industry. This initiative provides an opportunity to offer that out to students and faculty members as well, of course, but particularly to students as an additional driver, an additional incentive for them as they add certification to their portfolio and they go out into industry, and that should hopefully give them even better chances to find a good job and exciting work on exciting projects. There's curriculum material that goes beyond the free material that's available online from Unity. These are curated resources created by Unity. They are modular, so they don't have to be adapted kind of A to Z, but rather are resources that your teams can pull from, useful exercises, useful workflows, etc. And they're aligned around certain key topics. There's game design, but there's also XR, VR and AR specific curricular frameworks, and also for some aligning industries like architecture and construction, where Unity are kind of expanding as a business in right now. So there's relevance for other departments as well. Very comprehensive resources that come as part of the UAA. And finally, there's access also to different Unity products, because as you may be aware, there's of course the baseline platform that's available to academic institutions without any fees, free licenses. But then there's some really cool add-ons like Reflect or other software art engine, for example, and there's some very favorable discounts as part of this initiative, whereas those additional products would normally be sold at a commercial price rate. So that's kind of a very high level 10,000 feet overview of the UAA. The main thing here is, of course, to form a partnership with Unity, get access to resources that help you develop projects and teach Unity, and also to interact with their teams and other members, such as the forum we're in today. So with that, thank you from Knowledge Point side as well for just listening and dialing in. And I think our team is available if you want to learn more about the Academic Alliance. So either Liz Littler and myself, Thomas Carlson, who are both on this call, and you will see some of the follow-up from both of us. But with that said, again, thank you for listening. So if you have any questions, let me see if we do have any questions for Mika or David. I see there's no immediate questions, but don't be shy. Type in your questions. We can also open the phone lines for those who prefer that. So I will do that, and then it's your choice.
There was one question. I already typed some answers. So
perfect.
Yeah. So our students, they are engineering students, mainly studying a bachelor degree. Some of them also master degree. And we are closely also working with the academic universities. So per year we have 25 to 50 students studying this type of topics, and their age is around 20 to 24. And we have a very talented team of researchers, engineers, and student assistants. We have, for example, technical lead who has worked more than 10 years in German game industry and worked closely with multiplayer game systems where there have been millions of players same time and so on. So I'm very proud of our team. They are doing really great job.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay, and then I'll stop typing. I'll start speaking. It's probably easier.
Absolutely. Jump right in.
Since I can't do it now. So do they actually get a gaming degree then at the university, or what kind of degree do they get?
It's degree of information technology, but their competence track, it's game and interactive technologies. So they are selected in the first year to our competence track. In total, we have per year around 200 ICT engineering students, and we are selecting 25 to 50 depending on the year to this competence track. And luckily, we have always had a good chance to choose one of the best students because our track is so popular. And I believe that now when we have joined this Unity Academic Alliance, it will still increase the popularity what we have. So we are very excited to be now members here.
Yeah, it looks great. Yeah, I'm impressed.
Thank you.
And the business projects, you get them at the university parallel to the academic interests. So that means you have your students develop those business projects then, or do you do that and have them help in there, or how do you have that? How do you organize that?
Yeah, I would say that we have three types of activities. So first of all, we always try to bring students in real life projects. So for example, David is one of the capstone innovation project coaches, where we have customers, companies, and so on. So that's one possibility. It's very cost effective. We are talking about 1,000 to 3,000 euros per project. Then we have research projects where we have typically both research organizations and enterprises solving applied research questions together. It's typically sponsored by Business Finland or European Union. And then finally, if some companies are interested about, let's say, paid research activities, that's of course also one possibility. And then we have Unity licenses in both of these cases, depending on what we are doing.
Yeah, that was the question. You have to have the professional ones and the academic one.
Yeah,
that's. Yeah, that means lots of money too.
Yeah, we have around 700,000 our budget per year. So I'm the one who is always seeking funding from different sources, and luckily I have, for example, David, who is very successful writer of the proposals, but I would say that we are always interested to learn more about the collaboration possibilities. Let's, for example, seek funding together from Horizon Europe or some other sources together.
Yeah, the right person in the right position.
Looking forward.
Yeah.
Let's exchange a couple of emails.
So I'm very interested in trying to get some work together.
Yeah, looking forward, definitely.
Looking forward too. Great, thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Clemens. Any other questions or comments from anyone who wants to jump in?
Yeah, Andrei Cristian here from Polytechnical University of Timișoara. We are actually quite new to gaming, quite new to building information modeling, the so-called BIM. But onto this direction, we have already submitted a patent, and I would really like to further develop these new ideas. And as you mentioned, we are always seeking some funding, and it's easier to go together or maybe even create a big consortium. We have also submitted some proposal for Horizon Europe. Unfortunately, they were not successful, the initial ones, but of course we will not stop. And I would really like to go in this together if
we are definitely interested, and inside in our university we have also construction engineering department, and we have already some projects where we have been involved with building information models and so on. So sounds very interesting proposal.
Perfect. I will contact you via email and we'll keep in touch.
Okay. Looking forward.
We also have fire engineering, so maybe into that direction as well.
Yeah, that's something I believe that David is the best expert in our team to discuss further about that. But looking forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yes, then I'll drop our information still too. We are big building department in Vienna, like the biggest ones. We're educating already the young ones, starting at age 15. And we're actually I'm one of the leading people, BIM boys in Austria. So that's where we want to get together with Unity and try to get a little further, and funding I'm searching too still. But your example is the fire engine game here. That's a good link and good idea.
Yeah, and it's always possible that we can share some builds with you if you are interested to test some of our applications. Then it's maybe easier afterwards to
definitely
some joint interests.
I have this idea in my back of my brain already.
Yeah,
great.
Looking forward also.
Excellent. Well, that's really good to tie some connections, and we can facilitate also the connections here, especially as it relates to Unity. There's especially when it comes to fundings and grants, etc. There's some initial initiatives for software, especially the commercial software that can make that a bit more feasible as well. So we're also happy to be part of the next step. So great. I see that we had another question that came in while we were talking here on the chat, and this is an interesting one. So what would your definition be of what makes metaverse? Isn't it so that these were called virtual worlds and simulations? And I see that David already replied in the chat. Would you mind maybe you saying a few words as well for everyone who's online?
Yeah, I made a definition, and what David wrote a few seconds ago, that's really great addition, because collaboration, that's the let's say most interesting part for us in the metaverse development. So in the future, especially, all the work duties are so complex. People are not anymore working alone. We are maybe monitoring robots or autonomous systems and so on. So many people will be involved, and we have to solve problems where we are not alone. And that's why, to be trained, I think metaverse is the only choice.
Excellent.
Yeah, to me, I like to think like exactly as what we are doing. But for instance, if we go to the case of a shipyard, which is what we are trying to push now forward, there are well, in the local shipyard, we have about 5,000 workers every day, and 80% of them don't belong directly to the shipyard is not their employee; they are subsidiaries, and so the training it's so complex and comes so many people from different countries. So when we talk about metaverse in here, it's not that we will do this tool, this game for the forklifts, and then this one for the truck drivers. But we can see it like as a huge, massive multiplayer game where you can train all those trains, all those tasks, while simultaneously other people doing other tasks are also training. So basically, it's like a virtual world of a real space, and yeah, especially for training. So the idea is that teachers and supervisors can really get information about how this person is performing and what has he or she has learned and in which level. So this type of things we like. But yeah, metaverse is such a broad concept that we are interested mostly on this.
And game engine is such a beautiful technology. We have been in discussions with local shipyard that when they have this foreign workers, of course, first you need to, for example, have a hot work certification and various other certifications before you can enter inside in the shipyard area. But many times when you need to show your competence, if you don't speak Finnish, if you don't speak English, is it then so that is it the interpreter or is it the person itself who has the competence? And now inside in virtual reality, we can, for example, do real-time translations so that, for example, Polish worker can use Polish language and instructor or the person who is assessing can use his or her own language. So many cool stuff what Unity can offer.
Really cool. I see that we have a further question, which kind of maybe zooms out a little bit, but there's a question whether you are planning to open any graduate game development programs in the future.
Yeah, I would say that we already have some discussions, for example, with some African countries, so that people who have graduated, they could participate our extra, let's say, educational courses, which are partly online, which are partly tutoring required by local people. But yes, definitely, we are not focusing only on degree programs because, like I said, future will be totally different. So also this type of short courses and competence requirements will be needed here and there.
Perfect. Thank you. I see that we're quickly coming up to time here, actually. So, and we don't seem to have any further questions. So maybe we will, slowly close the call today. I wanted to once again thank Mika and David for sharing these cool projects. We will, and thank you everyone who attended as well and for asking good and interesting questions. We will send out an email afterwards with the recording, and I will also put Mika's contact details in there so that you can connect. And Liz, my colleague, and myself from Knowledge Point would welcome an opportunity to continue the conversation, especially with some of the links that have been formed today. So thanks again, everyone, for attending, and look forward to the next steps.
Thank you, Thomas and Liz. It was a pleasure to be present and looking forward to take next steps in this collaboration. Have a nice day.
Perfect.
See you all.
Have a great day, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you. Bye-bye.